The story begins with a boy named Gojo staring at the beautiful Hina dolls. His grandpa tells him, "I made them, aren't they amazing?" Gojo replies, "This Hina doll is the most beautiful thing in the world." This inspires him to create his own Hina dolls. But the next day, his friend angrily says, "That's so creepy, why do you like girls' dolls? You're a boy." She breaks the friendship, saying, "I hate you," and runs away before he could explain anything. And he feels sad. At present, Gojo wakes up to the noise of his phone alarm. He gets up and says good morning to the head of the doll that inspired him to pursue doll crafting. Heading downstairs, Gojo says good morning to his grandfather and prays at the altar of his parents and grandmother. He sits with his grandfather to have breakfast, who says to him, "Even if you haven't mastered the faces of the dolls yet, the costumes you create for them are impressive." Gojo replies, "I've still got lots to learn." His grandpa then asks if he has any friends, to which Gojo blurts out, "Yeah, of course, I have friends, they're just all busy with their own stuff." His grandpa replies, "I see," and smiles. Afterwards, Gojo heads to school. As he walks towards school, a boy comes from behind and holds him, but soon he realizes that it's not his friend and runs away saying, "I thought you were someone else." While sitting in class, he internally admits that even in high school, he doesn't have any friends. The cause for this is mainly due to his obsession with Hina dolls, as it's not a common interest among his classmates. Also, he's afraid if he talks about his hobby of creating dolls, others may not want to be his friend. Like his childhood friend left because of that. As he's lost in these thoughts, just then, Marin flies backward onto his desk, banging her head on it. Gojo is shocked by this. Her friends approach and apologize for accidentally pushing her. The whole class's attention goes to her. She gets up, rubbing her head, and says sorry to Gojo. He just stares at her because she's so cute. Just then, she notices his hand and touches it, asking, "What's this mark? It's not a cut, right?" Flustered, Gojo budges his hand, saying it's nothing. Marin says, "Really? That's good," then smiles. As she walks away, he hides the ink that got on his hands while making the Hina doll. As she's walking, he looks at her back and blushes. He thinks of her, that Marin is a super cheerful and popular girl with many friends, unlike him. Just then, Noah brings up the incident that happened with them yesterday. She tells other friends that a hot dude came to confess to Marin, but then he made fun of Marin's anime keychain and says it's lame. This enrages her, and she replies, "The one who's lame here is you," and walks away. Now her friend tells her, "If the guy was hot, you should have given him a chance." Marin replies, "Like I care about how hot he was." Gojo is listening to their conversation. She then says, "I don't like such guys, he literally made fun of things I like." Hearing this strikes a chord with Gojo. Even though she lives in the exact opposite world as him, they have a commonality between them. After school, his classmates ask Gojo if he can take over their cleaning duties. Gojo says, "Yeah, okay," and they leave him with the task. He then starts cleaning when suddenly he sees Marin entering the classroom. She starts arranging the seats as today is her cleaning duty. She asks him, "Where are the others who have cleaning duty?" He replies, "They went home, they had some work." She asks him, "Gojo-kun, are they taking advantage of you?" He reluctantly admits, "I guess so. They think I am reliable." Marin replies, "They're just using you. You shouldn't agree to things you don't want." She tells him to speak up for himself. At night, while sewing, he hurts himself. His grandpa appears asking, "What happened?" He says, "I cut my finger." While his grandpa is gone to fetch a bandage, he recalls Marin's advice during their cleaning duty and thinks, "She saw right through me. I've always suppressed my feelings," and again remembers his childhood friend's words, "I hate you," as he starts sewing again. Just then his grandpa comes with a bandage. Gojo realizes the machine is not working and tells his grandpa. Before sleeping, he looks at his bandaged fingers and thinks about buying a new machine soon. The next day, he decides to use the school's sewing machine. He then looks at his doll and feels happy that he can sew her outfit today. Just then, Marin enters, and they both are shocked to see each other. Gojo drops the doll head, but before it falls, he catches it and talks to it, saying, "Are you okay?" But just then, he realizes that Marin was listening to everything. Seeing the look on her face, he thinks it's all over, and Marin says, "What the hell?" But in next moment, she excitedly says, "That's so awesome. You know how to use a sewing machine." Gojo looks at her in confusion as he didn't expect such a response. He tells her that his family runs a Hina doll shop, so he learned how to use one as a kid. She asks, "Is that a Hina doll? Show me." And as he shows her, she exclaims, "Look at this hottie." Her eyes are sparkling. Gojo blushes and thinks this is the first time someone has complimented something he loves. He tells her, "My grandpa made this doll." I still only know how to make their clothes. She says, so, you can make clothes. Then she starts removing her clothes excitedly. Gojo blushes to see this in front of him. As she unbuttons her shirt, she realizes Gojo is there and tells him to look the other way. As he turns, she removes her shirt. He wonders why she's undressing. She then tells him to look at her. He hesitatingly turns around and sees her in an outfit. She asks him, what do you think about this dress? I sewed it for myself. He asks, what exactly are you wearing? So she shows him. He looks at the picture and then at her. It doesn't match at all what she's wearing. He is totally shocked and says, are you joking? It's different. And she is dismayed by this. He then starts observing the dress and says it's badly made and has a lot of wrinkles. But just then, he looks at her face, which seems like she's about to cry, and apologizes for accidentally critiquing it too harshly, hurting her feelings. She tells him, I'm not mad. She then walks and runs, then stands in front of him. She tells him, I made this outfit because I wanted to cosplay. Gojo asks, what kind of cosplay? Marin excitedly replies, cosplaying any favorite anime character to express just how much you love your faves. She gets so hyped up that her panties show up, making Gojo blush. She then tells him, I don't have a sewing machine at home, so I was trying to sew at school. But it seems like it is not well made, as you said. She then holds his hands and asks him to make a cosplay outfit. Gojo listens to her as she says, please, Gojo-kun, I want to cosplay my favorite characters. Hearing this, he recalls that she is the first person who admired his work and love for Hina dolls and even advised him earlier. So, he decides to help her and holds her hands tightly, saying, I'm ready to make a costume for you. Hearing this, Marin gets so happy and starts jumping here and there. Gojo looks at her as she gets too emotional with happiness at the thought of doing the cosplays of her favorite characters. Gojo asks the name of the character she wants to cosplay first. She tells him, I want to cosplay as Shizuku Kurotan from St. Slippery's Academy for Girls. Gojo asks, say what now? Marin replies, did you not get it at all? And repeats again, Shizuku-tan from St. Slippery Academy for Girls. Gojo raises his hand saying, I've never heard of this series. So, Marin gives him the basic rundown of the series, which has harem plots as well. Gojo is totally confused about what she's talking about. A thought comes to his mind, is she just messing with me? But when he looks toward her, he realizes she is serious. She then shares details about Suzuka-tan's character, which made her fall in love with her, and now she says, I want to become Shizuku-tan. Gojo notices that when Marin is talking about things she loves, she seems to be genuinely having fun. As she finishes, he says, this is a pervy game series, right? Aren't those age restricted? Marin plays dumb, saying, yup, no problem here. Gojo then says, I thought only boys like such types of series. Marin replies, does it matter if you're a girl or a boy when you really like something? Hearing this, he recalls his friend saying dolls are a girl's thing. He gets up excitedly, saying absolutely not. He takes out his phone to search for outfit ideas online. Marin takes out a book from her bag, saying, look, I have a beginner's guide for making outfits. Gojo looks inside and says, wow, this book is super handy. Everything is written in detail. As it's already too late, Gojo tells her, let's start working from Monday. Marin taps his shoulder and thanks him with a smile. At night, his grandpa comes to his room and tells him, tomorrow I'm gonna buy a sewing machine for you, and Gojo says, got it. After his grandpa leaves, he starts thinking about the time he spent with Marin today. He gets up and looks at the guide. He reads something that makes him totally flushed. The next day, someone is at his door. As he opens it, he's totally shocked to see Marin and asks, why are you here? She tells him, I couldn't wait until Monday, so I just searched for your doll shop and came over. She asks him, can I come in? Gojo doesn't know what to say. She brings some cheesecakes for him, saying these are super yummy. She enters, shocking him. She walks towards his room and says, this is your room, right? As she opens it, she laughs, saying, you didn't put your futon away. She then looks at his brushes and says, so you use them to paint your dolls. In that moment, his heart starts beating so loud because the only person that has ever been in his room is his grandpa. And now it's a girl. Just when he calms himself down, he sees Marin standing in front of him, asking, are you listening, Gojo-kun? He asks, what is it? She says, wanna hurry up and do it. Flustered, he hesitatingly asks, what exactly? She replies, take my measurement, duh. He says, could we have someone else do that part? She asks, why? You don't want to do it anymore. He hesitatingly tells her, because I read in the book yesterday that for measurement, you have to be in your underpants. She says, so that's what you mean, and starts unbuttoning her shirt. She then says, ta-da, I totally wore a bathing suit. While taking off her pants, she says, I figured you'd get all flushed about it, so I wore a bathing suit. Still, Gojo is unnerved by Marin's appearance and is irked when she touches him. He then says, I will start measuring. Please be patient with me. She says, it would be easier for you if I closed my eyes. He motivates himself to measure her and move forward. He puts the measuring tape around her head. But just then she opens her eyes and he jumps back as he gets startled. He gets up and says, turn around for the shoulder measurement. But seeing her backside, he loses his composure. He finally finds some courage to measure. He asks her if she feels uncomfortable only wearing her swimsuit. She says she's not and cares only for the costume. Just then, she hears a sound. Gojo has slapped himself. She asks, what are you doing? He says, nothing. He motivates himself, saying, I shouldn't have such indecent thoughts. She's relying on me. He then starts taking her measurements. While doing so, he thinks, I just need to concentrate. Afterwards, Marin asks him to take her foot measurement for buying the shoes for cosplay. He tells her, I'll go grab a chair first. Before he goes, she sits on his futon, saying this can work. Gojo says, no, get up from there, it's dirty. And Marin lies down, saying, it's all good. Gojo says, no, I'll bring a chair. Marin says, let's get to measuring. She then gets up and puts her feet on his lap. Gojo is completely flushed. She then says, do it, Gojo-kun. After finally taking her foot measurement, he feels relieved but is in cold sweat again when she says, it's time for the bust measurement. He turns around and asks, are you asking me to measure them? She replies, who else is going to do that? He starts breathing heavily as he looks at her bust and says, I can't. She approaches him and says, hurry, my arms are killing me. He says, sorry, and gets closer to measure them. He tries to keep himself calm, and then finally takes the measurement. After the measurement, he feels like dying. He then asks her to measure her inseam and bust point to make a perfect bag like Suzuka-tan. Gojo says, I can't do this, please do this part yourself. She pats him, saying, Gojo-kun, I'm kidding, geez. I'll measure it myself, give me the measuring tape. While she takes the measurement, Gojo feels uncomfortable. She says, it's 20 cms, and Gojo's mind goes blank, even if it's only a number. She then says, now the last thing to measure is the inseam. Gojo thinks, I will measure it without looking at her face, I want to be like Marin, who never loses her head. But just as he takes her measurement and then looks at her, she's totally red. He says, you're bright red. Realizing this, she acts weirdly. He thinks maybe room is hot and goes to turn on the AC. Now finally, they are done with the measurements. As Marin puts on her clothes, Gojo asks, do you have any reference for Slippery Girl so I can know the details of the outfit? Marin takes out the Slippery Girl DVD and gives it to him, saying, you can take help from it. Just then, he spots her pants and gets flushed to see her appearance again. At night, when Grandpa comes back home from the market, he is shocked to see Gojo watching an 18+ series. As he realizes his grandpa is there, he asks, is dinner ready? His grandpa says yes and thinks, who watches such a series that seriously? Also, he's taking notes. Now we see Marin, who is super happy with her Suzuka-tan costume. Gojo says the costume fits you perfectly, let's apply the wig. Marin says, when I cosplay, I start feeling like the character. She starts acting like Suzuka-tan, calling him master. Gojo is totally flushed too. Just when she says, please look at me, Gojo wakes up. It was just his dream. He then looks inside his pants. Flustered, he looks at the doll and says, could you look the other way? Later, when he heads towards his class, Marin also appears. He overhears girls talking about how cute and popular Marin is. He thinks, really, it's hard to believe she was at my house. He then walks away, but Marin calls him. She approaches him and starts talking with him. But he turns red, remembering the dream he had. Just then, her friend Noah comes, saying, let me join in. Her other friends also join, greeting him. He thinks, I'm surrounded, but they all act super nicely. One of her friends asks why he seems super bothered. Marin puts her hand on him and stares at his face, then says he's not bothered at all. But getting touched by her is like a shock, and he blushes. Afterwards, Marin leaves, saying, see you later. As she walks away with her friends, Gojo thinks Marin is treating me the same way at school also. But then he overhears girls talking about whether Marin is going out with this Gojo guy. She can do better. After class, when Marin comes to him, he leaves saying, I've got something. Later, she again tries to talk. He runs away with speed. Now she goes out to find him, but he hides. She keeps calling him. She searches for him in every room and area and even calls out his name loudly. But she doesn't find him, and now feels bad why he's ignoring her. Now, after school when he's going back home, Marin catches him and asks, will you come shopping with me? The students passing by look at them. Seeing this, Gojo declines to go with her and runs away. Marine is confused why he's doing this, knows hiding from her and feels sorry, but Marine finds him. She confronts him. Why are you avoiding me, Gojo-kun? He replies, you shouldn't hang out with me when others are around. She says, what are you saying? We're already friends. He says, but people are speculating we might be going out. She replies, then why don't we? And he flushes out. She holds his hand, saying I'm joking, come on, and takes him with her. Holding his hand, she says, let's go, Gojo-kun. Now they have reached the shop, standing in front of the cosplay section. He gives her a paper with the design of Suzuka-tan and tells her what things they are needing for the outfit. She's amazed that Gojo drew all of this. Afterwards, she shows him the fabric they can buy for the outfit. But Gojo selects another fabric, saying Suzuka-tan is in an academy of the upper class, so the costume should be of good quality fabric. However, this fabric is double the price of the other material. So Marine takes out money saying, Mama went to the bank. Use it. I saved all this for my cosplay by working. My hard work will go to waste if you don't use it. So Gojo accepts it. Now, they both start their shopping for the cosplay costume and other things needed for cosplay. After they are done shopping in this shop, Marine says, now let's go to Swallowtail next. When they enter there, Gojo is amazed to see that it's a shop for wigs. He says, wow, they have so many varieties for each color. Just then, Marine tells him, I found the black color wig we want. Gojo says, Suzuka-tan has a purple outfit, right? So her hair might be of purple color. But he realizes she has no idea about the details. They choose the color matching her outfit. Marine then says, if I came here by myself, I would have picked up the wrong things. Thank you for coming with me, Gojo-kun. She then goes to the counter to pay for it. Afterwards, she comes out and then says, now it's time to shop for garters and stockings. Inside the shop, Gojo feels awkward as it's a lingerie shop. Only ladies are around. He says, Marine-san, hurry. Just then, she appears from behind and shows him. He says, cover it up, and she teases him, would you prefer something more interesting? Gojo cries out, please stop teasing me. Later, after eating something, they walk towards home. They talk about the sensitive moments of the series, making women throw up. Adults look at them, perplexed. Damn, high schoolers these days are terrifying. As they both walk toward home, Marine says, I wonder where I should wear the cosplay once it's done. Gojo asks, are there designated areas? She replies, yup, like cosplay events and rented studios. Also, you can upload your pictures on social media. She shows him pictures of cosplayers who uploaded their pictures. She tells him about a mysterious cosplayer named Juju who is very popular but never attends events. She then shows him another cosplay pic and gets excited, saying, she's so cute. Now, as they walk, Marine scrolls through pictures of cosplayers, commenting on how cute, pretty, or beautiful they look. But just then, she stops and says, you haven't said a word. You don't think they're pretty or beautiful? Gojo replies, no, that's not it. I'm sorry, that's kind of annoying. But when I was a child, the first time I saw a Hina doll at my grandpa's place, I couldn't take my eyes off her. I realized the word beautiful existed for things like that. So, I just can't say pretty or beautiful unless I feel it from the heart. Marine comments, Gojo-kun, you're totally a face guy. He says, I'm not denying they look nice, I just struggle to express it. She just walks ahead, saying, if that's what you've decided, I think that's totally fine. I have things I'm picky about too. Just then, she spots a food van and drools at the thought of eating meat rolls. After buying them, she takes a bite and feels delighted with the taste. Now, as they are about to part ways, Marine tells him that she enjoyed her time with him today and thanks him for his help. He looks at her silently. She then tells him, these meat rolls are tasty. Have a bite? He blushes, saying, I'm super full. She takes a bite herself and cleans her lips, then says, did you just think? She totally pigs out. And Gojo is in a cold sweat. Now, she looks at her phone and says, it's late, and runs away, saying, I'm gonna miss my train, see ya. And Gojo waves her back. After Marine leaves, Gojo remembers the cosplay event is in 2 weeks. Going back home on the train, he feels anxious about making the costume in time. When he reaches home, his grandpa welcomes him. Gojo tells him, I went shopping with a friend. Just when he asks, what did you buy? Women's stockings fall out of the bag. He gets shocked and trips over, hurting himself badly. Now we see Gojo sitting outside the hospital room when his cousin arrives. He tells her that doctor is treating grandpa after that mishap. Just then, grandpa comes out, thanking the doctor. He walks towards them. Gojo helps him to sit. Miroi says grandpa needs rest. He'll stay with her for a while, and tells Gojo to spend the night at her home. Grandpa says, I hope I'm not going to be a burden. Now they head towards Miroi's home. The next day at school, Gojo tells Marine about the mishap with his grandfather. Marine says, let me know if you need any kind of help. Gojo says, thank you, I'll be fine. She asks him to exchange numbers to stay in touch in case something happens, and Gojo agrees. On the way back to class, Gojo thinks, I wasn't able to work on the outfit. I need to start today. Marine calls him, snapping him out of his thoughts. On the way, she looks at the board and says, midterms are starting from next week. Hearing this, the only thought that comes to his mind is, I have to find time for making her outfit. Marine asks him, are you okay? And he says, yes. That evening at home, Gojo gets a call about a tour of their Hina doll's workshop for a friend visiting from France. Initially, he refuses to do the tour on Saturday, but since the friend is only available that day, he cracks under the pressure and allows it. After putting the phone back, he feels distraught about what he should do now, with so many things coming up. Now he starts working on the plan to design the costume for Marine, along with giving the tour of their Hina doll's workshop. He stays awake late nights to work on making the costume. Even though he gets hurt, he puts on a bandage and keeps working. The next day, as the exam finishes, Marine looks at Gojo, who is still in his seat. Before she could approach him, her friend comes and Gojo leaves in a hurry. At night, she's standing outside his home. She texts him but gets no reply. She peeks through the window, and as it is dark inside, she thinks he might be at his cousin's house to see his grandpa. She then walks back home. Meanwhile, inside his house, it's all messy. He didn't take out the garbage either. He opens his eyes, and his head hurts from overworking and not taking proper sleep. He then looks at the pieces and thinks the outfit isn't done at all. Marine will be sad if the outfit is not made in time. He then looks at his brushes and thinks, I can't even use them properly yet. What will I do if I'm never able to use brushes properly to make dolls' faces? He feels depressed and starts crying, remembering a memory asking his grandpa, isn't making doll faces really hard? His grandpa laughs, saying, yes, it was hard at the start for me too. He opens an album, showing it to him, and saying, seeing our customers' smiles makes me grateful I chose this work. You keep going because you want to make someone happy, even when it's hard. He then recalls the moment he spent with Marine and how excited she is for the cosplay event. He snaps out of his depression, wipes his tears, and continues working all night. By morning, he texts Marine that he finished the costume. Later, Marine visits him and is astounded by seeing the outfit. She then tells Gojo, I was not thinking of attending today's cosplay event. Gojo asks, you're not. She replies, there are other cosplay events, so I was gonna wait until you were finished. Hearing this, Gojo sits down and then says, thank goodness. I was so anxious about not finishing in time for today's event. But when he looks at Marine, she starts crying and says, I didn't know you were overworking for me. I am sorry, I thought you were just busy with exams and taking care of grandpa. To lighten the mood, he suggests, why don't you try the outfit now? If it needs any fitting or adjustments, I can do them. Marine says, but you're exhausted. He says, I'll be happy if you do that now. Marine wipes her tears and says, okay, I will wear the hell out of it. Thank you, Gojo-kun. Now, she cleans her nose while Gojo combs her hair and makes a bun. He tells her how he will do her makeover like Shizuku-tan. For eye makeup, he watches a video. For eyelashes, he thinks they need false lashes. He tells her, I have a few styles of eyelashes we can choose from. Marine asks, are these your girlfriends? He tells her, no, we use eyelashes for some Hina dolls. He shows her a picture of one Hina doll with lashes. She says, she looks cute. Gojo tells her, we even use different types of makeup for different Hina dolls. He then says, these are all made by my grandpa. I hope I'll be able to make their faces well someday. Marine replies, you will, Gojo-kun. He smiles, thanking her, and Marine says, that's the first time I'm seeing you smile like this. He then says, your eyebrows aren't shaped like Shizuku-tan. She thinks and says, shave them off, and he is shocked, thinking she's not hesitant at all. Now he first completes her makeup. Afterwards, she changes her clothes and wears a wig with the Suzuka-tan outfit. Gojo is standing outside while she changes. He enters after she's ready and is amazed to see her look. She asks, Gojo-kun, do I actually look like Shizuku-tan? Gojo says, yes, perfectly Shizuku-tan. She gets happy and says, you're awesome, Gojo-kun. It's all because of you. He then asks, how's it fit? She says, it fits, but it's a bit harder to raise my arms. But these bags fit perfectly. This skirt is the perfect length too. Well done, Gojo-kun. Gojo replies, I'm flattered, but there's still a long way to go. Marine says, I'm getting excited. This is so perfect. Gojo says, calm down, Marine-san. She then says, I want to take some pictures. And now Gojo is taking her pics. As Marine looks at a pic, Gojo says, you should pose more like Shizuku-tan. She says, okay, let's take a picture here. I'll pose like her. But when she poses, she then laughs. She is so excited and happy that she can't stop laughing. Now she tries once again seriously. Gojo takes a picture and says, this one looks like Shizuku. And now he keeps taking her pic, and her every pose is like Shizuku. After they are done, she looks at the pics and says, I'm uploading them online. She says, these pics look cute, and says, let's go to tomorrow's cosplay event. Gojo says, what? The next day they reach the cosplay event. Marine's eyes sparkle with excitement to see a lot of cosplayers there. She then looks at cosplayers one by one and says, they look amazing. And right now, I'm making my cosplay debut. I'm happy. But when she looks at Gojo's face, he's in a cold sweat. He says, I shouldn't be here, there are just too many ladies around. He says, everyone is looking at us. Marine says, I think they're looking because of my amazing outfit. Gojo says, no, it's because I don't belong here. She says, it's probably because this is the best bag here. Afterward, they go up. She says, everything is super chill here. She spots a cosplayer and says, look, she's so cute. Just then, a photographer appears saying, can I get some pictures? He says, you're cosplaying Shizuku-tan, right? Marine's face glows up. She says, yes. Gojo goes to stand on the side and watch Marine. She poses like Shizuku-tan as the photographer takes her pics. She then looks at the pic and says, that's super cute. She then says, let's take a selfie together. Now, as the photographer leaves, another comes. The photographer asks her to make a pose. Gojo thinks she's looking like Shizuku-tan. As she poses, he then looks at other cosplayers and thinks they're cosplaying their favorite characters. That's why they can have so much fun so freely. He then looks back at Marine, thinking she seems like she's having fun too. He recalls when she asked him to make a cosplay outfit for her, and he fulfilled his promise. But then he realizes that hanging out with Marine like this will end today. He thinks he has never had friends. Marine is the first one who became his friend, and hanging out with her was so much fun. Just then, Marine looks for Gojo, and just when she spots him, she feels relieved. And Gojo can't take his eyes off her. After completing the photo session, she runs towards Gojo. She then stops in front of him and says, I thought you disappeared on me, and I panicked. She then says, my clothes are about to come off. Gojo asks, say what now? She repeats and says, last night, I was looking at the photos you took of me, and Shizuku-tan's bust should have been bigger, so I wore a new bra today. Now my chest is literally about to burst. He says, I made the outfit to perfectly fit you, so there wasn't room for a new bra. She then says, this outfit is itself just too hot, I'm gonna die. Gojo realizes it's because he picked thicker fabric. They go inside so she can cool off. She sips a cold drink and says, now I feel a bit better. He gives her a cool patch, and she puts it on her forehead. She says, this feels so good. She then cleans the sweat off her underarms too. Gojo finds a way to cool her off. They need to loosen her clothes to escape the heat. She asks him to unzip her, and Gojo freaks out, saying, I can't. But then he realizes she seems to be having a really rough time. So, with a lot of courage, he unzips her. She says it feels good while Gojo turns all red. She then asks him to wipe her back. He tries not to lose his composure and starts wiping. She makes noises, so Gojo tells her to keep her voice down. She then asks him for a towel to clean underneath her skirt. It's all stuffy inside. After using a towel to wipe clean underneath her skirt and making some adjustments to reinforce her clothing, she tells Gojo, let's head back out before going home. They walk outside and call a photographer. She apologizes for running off like that earlier and tells her, you can take pics now. She makes the pose. During this shoot, a strong gust of wind lifts up Marine's skirt, revealing markings on her thighs. Gojo and the photographer both turn red, and she clicks the pics accidentally. She says, I'll delete them immediately. But all Marine worries about is not being able to make the pose she wanted to. After the event, they both head back home on the train. Marine thanks Gojo, it's all because of you, I was able to go to the event. Gojo replies, it was a great experience for me also, and I really had a lot of fun. Gojo then gets a bit sad, thinking this is the last time with Marine. Just then, Marine asks, which cosplay are we going to do next? There are other cosplays I want to do. Gojo gets happy. Marine notices this and says, you seem super happy. What's it? Gojo blushes and then says, I look forward to continuing working with you. She stares at him, then laughs saying, yeah, for sure. Afterwards, she shows him the cosplay she wants to do next, but sees Gojo looks very drowsy. Hand suggests that he take a nap. She starts talking about the event and says she enjoyed it a lot. Gojo tries to listen to her with his sleepy eyes. He looks at her and recalls her in Shizuku-tan's cosplay. He says, you are looking very beautiful today. recalling that Gojo only uses the word beautiful for very special things that are associated with him. This realization astounds Marin, and she turns red. After reaching Gojo's place, they decide to wash Marine's wig and outfit. He reads the manual, pour the softener into water. Marine follow it, then gently washes wig in it with her hands. As he reads out the next steps, she looks at him and can't take her eyes off him. He seems so cute that Marine is totally flushed. Meanwhile, while taking her grandpa home, Miroi learns how he injured himself. She comments, "It's not unusual for a high schooler like Gojo to have women's stockings." Grandpa responds, "Is that so?" Upon arriving home, he sees Gojo holding a woman's outfit, and the sudden appearance of Marine shocks him, causing him to hit his back on the door. Now Gojo puts some ketoprofen tapes on him for relief. Grandpa looks at Gojo, who says, "We did nothing inappropriate." Grandpa says, "I can see that," looking at the outfit. He walks closer for a better look and says, "It's impressive." Gojo says, "I've still got a lot to work on, though." He starts telling his grandpa about his flaws and where he needs to improve. While Marine is just staring at Gojo, she thinks, "I'm totally head over heels for Gojo-kun." She is confused whether she likes him or loves him. As she's thinking about how to handle this situation, her stomach rumbles. The noise catches their attention, and Gojo asks, "Are you hungry?" Marine turns red and feels like someone should kill her now. They tell her to have dinner with them. Later, they sit together for dinner. Marine takes a bite and says, "It's yummy." She says, "It's amazing you even know how to cook." Gojo replies, "Since my parents are gone, I just do all the cooking." Marine says, "You're like me. My mom died of sickness, and my dad is away for work, so I live by myself." His grandpa asks, "Do you get proper meals?" She shows a picture, saying, "Yes, I mostly buy from convenience stores as I have to do part-time work, so I don't get much time to cook." They are shocked at the unhealthy food she eats. Grandpa asks, "Are you sure your body's holding up?" She shows a picture of yogurt and milk from the store, saying, "I have these daily, so I'm fine." Grandpa says, "Come over here for dinner from now on." After dinner, Gojo walks her towards the station. She thanks him for the yummy dinner and says, "I enjoyed talking with your grandpa." As they reach the station, she calls his name but can't take her eyes off him. She then says, "See ya tomorrow," and runs away, waving goodbye. On the way back home on the train, she recalls Gojo explaining to his grandpa, "We didn't do anything inappropriate," and thinks, "What if we did, though? And what if I told him how I feel about him?" On a rainy day, we see a girl running, while Grandpa walks toward the door thinking, "Why does it have to rain when I decide to go out?" Just then, he sees that girl who takes shelter outside their shop. He walks to open the door and calls her, "You okay, Missy?" Afterwards, we see Gojo back from school. His grandpa says, "I'm heading out. You've got a friend waiting." As he leaves, Gojo wonders, "Gramps, who did you let into the house? I only have Marine as a friend." He fears it might be a burglar or con artist. He then confronts the visitor in the bathroom and catches her naked. He gets confused. Is she a kid? The girl was about to yell at Wakana, but instead slips backward. He recalls telling his grandpa the Hina doll's face was soft and silky, much like the girl in front of him now. Girl is totally shocked and flushed out. Afterwards, they both sit in a room in an awkward situation. To break the ice, he asks, "What brings you here?" She replies, "The outfit." He thinks she's here to see how the Hina dolls are made. He then asks her name and school for entry. She replies, "My name is Sajuna Inui, and a second-year high schooler." Gojo is amazed to know she's older than him. He then takes her to give a tour thinking she wants to see the Hina dolls' outfits. He thinks it makes him happy when people are interested in dolls. She asks why the dolls are headless, and Gojo says, "The heads are here. We keep them separately and combine them later." She then looks at another doll and says, "Its kimono is beautiful." She then has a look at other dolls also and praises them. Gojo says, "They're all beautiful, take a look at these." But girl grabs him asking, "Why are we looking at dolls?" She shows him Marine's cosplay saying, "You made this, right? Make one outfit for me." He says, "I don't do it for business." So she blackmails him. "Earlier in the bathroom you saw me, you're a peeping Tom. If I report you, you're gonna get arrested if you don't make the outfit." Gojo is in complete shock and fear. She says, "So Gojo, you will make me, Juju, an outfit." He remembers Juju is the name of the cosplayer Marine admires the most. He recalls that they talked about how Juju seems to be a grade schooler, but now he's dumbfounded as he knows she's a high schooler. He asks, "Why are you here?" She replies, "I saw the pics of Marine. She uploaded them and wrote that she was going to a cosplay event after that. So I also came there disguised, and as I found out that Gojo made the costume, I followed you home." Gojo thanks these girls and their tenacity. Just then, Marine messages him saying she's coming over. Arriving at his place, Marine is totally shocked to see Juju here. Marine immediately gets into Juju's face and bombards her with questions and compliments. Gojo tells her that Juju saw your pics and came here. Hearing this, Marine bursts into absolute euphoria. She gets closer to her, showing her happiness, but Juju says, I am interested in the costume Gojo made, not you. Now they sit together. She asks Gojo to make Shin Nikado's Black Lily outfit for her. She tells him it's an anime about Princess Shin who came to the realization that her older sister, Neon Wanatama, is her real enemy who wants to destroy everything. This breaks Princess Shin's heart, and she unlocks her hidden powers to fight back against her sister. Their rivalry is very popular among people who watch this anime. Gojo says, Shin's heart seems to be badly broken, and Marine says, yes. She then starts telling about the complicated relationships of characters in the series, and Gojo is completely confused about what she's even saying. Afterwards, Juju says, I want you to make a perfectly fit outfit of Shin for me. She likes the character so much that she even has a keychain of it. Marine says, I also want to cosplay Shin Tan. Juju says, then do it. She replies, but I'm pretty tall compared to her, so I don't want to cosplay her and destroy her image. Juju cries out, why are you stating the obvious? Internally, she says, I thought she was not serious about cosplaying, but in reality she turns out to be a cosplayer I actually love. She then apologizes to Marine, who doesn't get what for exactly. Afterwards, she says, Gojo, give me your contact info. Don't get the wrong idea, it's for talking about outfit. I know you two are dating, and Gojo freaks out, turning red, no, we aren't. He tries to keep his composure but can't, while Marine seems to be super happy hearing this. Now, Marine tells Juju, I'd like to cosplay Neon Wanatama, will you cosplay Blaze with me? But she flatly rejects. Marine now tries to convince her to cosplay with her, but she replies, not happening. I have no plan to work with other cosplayers. Plus, I am renting a studio this time. Marine says, studio, and imagines Juju's shoot. Excitedly, she says, I wanna see. Do you mind if I come with you? I'll split the studio's fees. Juju says, the studio's fees are expensive. Gojo says, I'll pitch in too. Juju thinks, if I split, I can spend the rest on the outfit. Marine says, sorry for bothering, you can ignore what I said. She replies, if you insist, I will let you tag along. Marine jumps with happiness and Juju cries out, only this time. Gojo says, to make the outfit, I'll have to watch the anime first. Juju asks, wouldn't reference photos be enough? Gojo replies, watching the anime will help me pick the right fabric. Now, he looks up on his phone how to watch Blaze anime. Marine says, I have the complete box set, you can borrow mine. You can watch in a snap, only 126 episodes. Gojo is in cold sweat, 126. Late at night, Gojo's grandpa examines the face of a Hina doll Gojo drew. Gojo thinks he did poorly because he hasn't practiced enough lately. But his grandpa tells him he's really improved, especially after making an outfit for Marin-chan. Surprised, Gojo asks, really? He says, you even did her makeup right, like you paint doll faces with a lot of concentration. Keep going like this, it'll pay off someday. The next day, Gojo rings the bell. Marine opens the door saying, sorry, I just woke up. Gojo is left flabbergasted by Marine's appearance and clothing. All he recalls when they measured her bust point was 20 centimeters. Marine calls him, snapping him out of his thoughts. She looks at herself, freaks out, I don't have my colored contacts. Afterward, she returns and invites Gojo in. Gojo gives her the pudding he brings for her. She goes to put them in the kitchen. Gojo is here to take DVDs from her to watch anime, but he's so nervous because it's his first time at a friend's home. Marine comes back and says, why don't we watch the DVD together? Gojo freaks out nervously, why? But then he enters, saying, thank you for inviting me in. Marine says, this is my room. He sees it's full of anime merchandise. His nervousness goes as he says, yeah, this is definitely your room. Now they start watching anime. They are watching the scene where Neon Wanatama is so sad that neither her parents nor her lover loved her. She wants to die. But just then her hidden powers get unlocked, and Neon turns into the Black Lobelia, and her whole personality changes. Gojo says, so that's how she changes and becomes evil. Now they see the scene where Shin, as Black Lily, is fighting with Black Lobelia. When she realizes it's her big sister Neon, she stops, and Neon gets a chance to attack her. As they watch the series, Marine and Gojo discuss the characters. Now, as Shin gets defeated, Flower Princess appears and tells her, sad and painful things won't last forever. Shin shuts her up, saying, you'll never understand, and kicks her, saying, you're just cheerful, and starts fighting with her. Shin's crush, Sakuya-kun, is watching this fight with his brother Soma-kun, whose crush of Neon Wanatama. Gojo comments, they are really handsome. Just then, a thought comes to Marine's mind, is this a home date? She's trying to hold up her excitement, but when she looks at him, she thinks, I love him. She looks at him again and thinks, what's happening to me? I don't want this moment to end. Just then her stomach gurgles, and Gojo suggests, let's eat something. Marine says, I'll make something to eat, making Gojo happy initially, but he quickly realizes she'll make unhealthy food. She says, let me handle it. She takes off her jacket, tie her hairs, and then, wearing an apron, she thinks, what should I make? She checks the fridge and thinks, I'll make omuras, and imagines serving it to Gojo with love written on it. Now she starts cutting onions and her eyes burn with it. She starts cooking and when she tastes it, it's yummy. She laughs with the thought, I'm a genius. But the end result is a massive failure to wrap the omelet over the rice. She says, I'm sorry, Gojo-kun, I tried. She is embarrassed and says, you don't have to eat it. But Gojo still eats it, saying, it's delicious. She asks, you're not just being nice. Gojo replies, it's really good. She says, okay, I'll eat too. He thinks, I'll make some next time, it's really good. Now there comes an emotional scene in the anime, and Gojo starts crying. Marine offers him a tissue. In the next scene, we see Juju looking at a sketch of the costume Gojo made before sewing it while talking with Gojo on the phone. She says, I will send you the funds for the fabric. He replies, you can pay for it after the costume is made. He then says, I was going through your cosplay pictures. In some, your eyes look completely different. She asks him to come on a video call and shows him the tape she uses to change the shape of her eyes and shows him how to do it. Gojo says, thank you. She asks, you didn't know it before. He replies, that cosplay was my first experience. She is amazed that he made such a perfect outfit even though it was his first time. She then says, we'll take pictures from a camera, my younger sister does it for me. He says, that's why your pictures are perfect. She replies, well, we edit them sometimes. Gojo says, can I meet your sister? I want to learn from her how to use a camera. She says, okay, and gives him the time and place. He then messages Marine about this, and she calls instantly, I will come with you. She tells her friend to go ahead while she talks with Gojo. I think Juju's sister could be more tiny and cute. I'm excited to meet her now. But when they meet her, they're totally shocked. She's not what Marine imagined and is a bit shy, also with a huge bust. Marine says, how big are you? Gojo wants to stop her but soon realizes it's about height. Now, Marine is amazed to see the pictures of Juju her sister took. She says they're super cute. Juju says, I just asked her to take my photos, but she made my account and uploaded pictures too. Shinju says, I just wanted someone to see cute pictures of my sister, so I created her account and started uploading pictures. She got many likes, so many people complimented her, but I didn't know how to reply to all these strangers, so I ended up ignoring them. Marine says, you must really love Juju. She excitedly says, yes, I love her. Juju makes an annoyed face but inside is happy. Now, Shinju shows them the DSLR they are going to use for the shoot this time. Marine says it's cool. She then explains how it works and that you can use different lenses for taking pictures. Gojo asks, is shooting with a DSLR much different from smartphone? She says yes, a camera gives you high resolution. Other than that, you can take pictures and blur the background, adjust shutter speed, capture clear photos of falling petals, or blur the foreground to make the whole photo look soft. Marine says, that sounds like so much fun. Shinju says, taking pics of my sister makes me happy. Marine asks her, doesn't seeing cosplayers make you want to try it? Shinju says, me. Cosplay? Juju asks, you want to cosplay too? She replies, no, I just like taking pictures. Now, Marine takes the camera to try it and takes a picture of everyone. Gojo then checks how much the DSLR costs, and, seeing the price, cries out, too expensive. Marine says, you're so loud. He can even feel the burden when Juju says, it costs even more if you add other equipment. Gojo says, I can't believe the cameras everyone had on the day of the event were so expensive. Marine says, we'll keep using smartphones until I save up. Now, before leaving, Juju says, we're going to scout shooting locations before renting. Do you want to come? Marine and Gojo say, yes, we will. She says, okay. The next day, they all arrive outside the studio. Juju is a bit scared of such places. It's an abandoned building, a bit scary. Marine and Shinju enter in. Gojo says, this is the perfect place for cosplaying the Black Lily depression scene. Juju says, yeah. Gojo enters, saying the atmosphere is a bit scary. Marine says, we're gonna take a look upstairs. Gojo looks at Juju, asking, is this place uncomfortable for you? She enters hesitantly, saying, it's not true at all. Now, Marine takes a look at the place, saying, isn't it a bit dark though? Shinju says, we have a flash, so we'll be fine. She then tells her about how flashlight helps while shooting, and Marine says, that's super amazing. Meanwhile, Gojo looks out saying, it's really coming down. He then looks at Juju, who seems to be afraid. He approaches her, asking, are you alright? She says, I am fine, but she's not, so Gojo tells her, I can explore the place for you. She replies, no, I will be cosplaying Black Lily, so I'll do it myself. She then asks him about his future dreams. He replies, I want to become a Hina doll Kashirashi. She says, that's a lovely dream. In my case, I always wanted to become Black Lily since childhood. She's cool, strong, and wear beautiful outfit. I was obsessed with Black Lily, but when I was in elementary school, I figured out I can't have powers like her. But when I was in middle school, I found out you can buy the outfit and cosplay. I bought one, but it was too big for me. It was my first cosplay and it was awful. So this time, I feel like my dream can come true by cosplaying Black Lily properly. Gojo asks her, why did you ask me to make such an important outfit? There are many people better than me. She replies, I was jealous to see Marine's perfect cosplay outfit. I thought I also want to wear an outfit made by this person. She then says, seeing your outfit you made was love at first sight. This made Gojo recall his childhood memory when he first saw Hina dolls. He says, it's beautiful. His grandpa laughs and says, we make these beauties in a way that we want people to experience love at first sight with them. Gojo says, I want to be like you, Gramps. His grandpa replies, yes you will, you just need a bit of practice. Tears come out of his eyes, realizing how happy his grandpa was. But he seems scary to Juju. She tries to stop him as he approaches her. But just then, he holds her hands, saying, thank you for appreciating my work. Since this is the first time a boy has held her hand, which made her faint. Now we see a scene of a few days later. This was the last day of the exam. Marine tells Gojo, let's go to the beach. Now they are at the beach. Marine enjoys her burger when Gojo asks, did we come here today to take photos? Marine says, what? She then says, no, as we're done with final exams, so I want to chill after that. Gojo realizes, yeah, she's Marine, she is always like this. She asks for some fries, but just then, a hawk snatches the burger she was eating. Now they walk away, but the bird is still following them. She then says, let's eat somewhere and look at the ocean. We can figure out if the bird steals our food again. Gojo throws fries at the bird, saying, we still have a burger. He says, now it won't follow us. And Marine starts laughing. Now they sit near the ocean, and Gojo hands her a burger. She divides it and shares it with him. Gojo says, this breeze feels so nice, and she says, yeah. She then says, I'm going in to soak my feet. Gojo looks at her, thinking, what a free spirit. Just then, he gets a look under her skirt and he blushes. She enjoys the water, saying, dude, I caught some seaweed. Get it here, Gojo-kun. Gojo takes off his shoes, saying, I'm coming. She says, hurry. He walks toward the water. He enters in, saying, my feet are sinking in the water. Marine says, you're way too freaked out. Gojo holds some water and says, since I saw Hina dolls, I had fun drawing their faces. I never thought of doing anything else, so I've never been to so many places like this. He then says, the beach is very nice, it's beautiful. And Marine just stares at him. She then says, we have summer vacations soon. We should go to all sorts of places together, just the two of us. Gojo replies, I would love to. But just then, she realizes something and heads to the side, saying, I am thirsty. As she walks away, she is totally flushed as she realizes she blurted out just the two of us. She puts the cold bottle to her face to cool herself. She then looks back at Gojo and takes a pic of him. She looks at the pic and thinks he looks super amazing. Just then Gojo slips in the water and she runs towards him, asking, are you fine? In the next scene, we see them walking towards Gojo's room after coming back from shopping. Suddenly, Marine pulls her skirt up. Gojo freaks out, saying, don't scare me like that. Marine responds, you forgot I told you about this new swimsuit I bought while we were chatting, but you never replied. Gojo goes away, saying, leave me alone for a bit. Marine asks what happened, and he says, don't touch me please. Marine doesn't understand why he's acting this way, but he's totally flushed after seeing her. Now, she paints the stone for cosplay and then dries it, remarking, this turned out super nice. I'm super happy. It feels nice to be useful. Gojo can relate feeling useful for helping her with the cosplay. Just then, she starts taking off her clothes, saying, I want to try on the outfit. Gojo turns around, saying, don't do it in front of me. but she is in complete dismay when she realizes she's wearing the wrong undergarment and turns red. Next, we see Marine amazed to see Juju as she wears her outfit, saying, "It fits me perfectly, but the skirt could be a bit poofier." Gojo says, "Maybe we can use some wiring." They then talk a lot about her outfit. When Gojo asks Marine, she doesn't know much but tries to praise the outfit with the only words she has: cute, insane, mega insane, super duper insane. Juju says, "You don't have to push yourself." Now, Gojo starts her makeover by tying her hair. Juju looks at her makeup box and gives her some face makeup tips for a black lobelia cosplay. Gojo says, "We can use this tape to change the eye shape," and he puts it near her eyes. After doing her makeover, Gojo gives her a mirror. She looks at it and says, "Does my face always look like black lobelia?" Juju replies, "No dummy, it's because of the makeover and wig." She feels so happy that she starts bonking Gojo, but her happiness turns into sadness as it rains heavily. Juju says, "Sudden rainstorms are common this time of year." There at studio, she looks at Marine and says, "I love your black lobelia outfit." Marine replies, "I love it too." She then hesitantly asks, "Can we get a picture together?" Juju agrees, and she takes a selfie. She then thanks her for taking the picture with her. Just then, Gojo appears with Shinju, and they get shocked. Just then, we see a flashback where Juju faints after Gojo holds her. Later, she felt gloomy as she ended up fainting. She looks at Gojo and remembers what made her faint. Marine then says, "I am going because I have some work." Juju also leaves, saying, "Let's go, Shinju." Before she leaves, Gojo says, "I have to talk about something. That day when Marine asked if you also want to cosplay, I thought you refused because it might be hard to say in front of your sister." But as she remains silent, Gojo leaves. She stops him, saying, "I would like to try cosplay. There is a character I want to cosplay, but I am not as cute as my sister, so I'd end up looking weird if I do, and upset my sister." Gojo replies, "At the cosplay event, I saw many cosplayers who were just enjoying the cosplay they wanted to do, irrespective of how they look. So, I feel you should try cosplay. I am sure your sister will never judge you." Hearing this, Shinju thanks him for the motivation. She then tells him, "I also want to cosplay a Blaze character." Gojo thinks maybe she wants to cosplay the Flower Princess, but when she says, "I want to cosplay Soma Oni-chan," he's shocked. She says, whenever his sister is in trouble, he's always there to help her out. "He reminds me so much of my sister, but I don't have enough money to spend on a costume." Gojo gets a shocking realization that cosplay is really an expensive hobby, but he decides to help her and says, "I'll figure it out." The next day, we see Gojo telling Shinju that she can wear his uniform, as Soma has the same outfit. Shinju says, "Yeah, I remember it." She then tries out the uniform at Gojo's place. As he waits, he wonders if the uniform would be loose on Marine. He enters and is shocked to see that it's so tight that the button breaks and flies off. Now Gojo puts it back on the shirt. They talk about how the uniform fits except in the bust area. Gojo thinks about how to make her chest stand out less to give her a male look. Just then, he gets an idea of trying a Sarashi wrap to give a more even look. As Gojo waits outside, Shinju wraps herself up. But when she's done, Gojo looks at her and she says, "I still have a girlish look because of my chest." Soma Oni-chan has an athletic look. Gojo scrolls the internet to figure it out and they find a chest flattener with hooks. They think it's expensive, but it is not at all. Gojo says, "It'll help." Now he tries to take her measurements but accidentally squishes her. The next day he brings the wig for her outfit and he gets ready to cut. Shinju thinks he is so confident about this, but just then he says, "It's nerve-wracking. It's hard to cut when I know I can't mess up." She laughs but then stops, saying sorry. He then thinks of Marine, how confident she always is and doesn't hesitate to do what she wants. He wants to be like her. Recalling this, he says, "I will cut now." After that, he tells her, "I bought makeup for you also," and then starts doing her makeover. Now, back to the present, she's standing in front of Juju. Juju is amazed to see her. She looks exactly like Soma. And Marine says, "You look amazing." Gojo asks, "Isn't it good?" And she gets emotional, saying yes. Marine is so excited to see her as Soma that she asks for a selfie, and they all take a selfie together. Now we see them taking shots of Juju as Black Lily. She looks so crazed to Gojo as he sees Shinju taking pics. Now Shinju says to Marine, "It's your turn now." They decide to recreate the scene of Black Lobelia and Black Lily. Marine goes closer to her, and suddenly Juju's eyes widen when she sees Marine as Black Lobelia. She is acting just like her. She holds her face with a serious look. But just then, Gojo cries out, "Marine, no, Black Lobelia always has a sad face." But she can't stop and smiles, saying, "Juju, you're the epitome of cuteness I can handle." And then she walks away, saying, "I'm having so much fun." Now, as Shinju is still shooting Marine, Juju talks with Gojo. She says, "Thank you for what you did for Shinju. Whatever it costs, I will pay you," because she probably has no idea you had to pay for her cosplay materials. Gojo says it's okay. But Shinju replies, "You need to be serious when it comes to money." She says, "I had no idea she wanted to cosplay." And Gojo replies, "Sometimes it takes too much courage to tell what we love." I can totally relate. She thinks Gojo did so much for her sister. He is wonderful. Gojo turns, asking, "Did you say something?" She says, "Nothing." The scene shifts to Marine. Shinju is taking her shots. She looks totally like Black Lobelia. Just then, Shinju says, "I got the best shot of you." Suddenly, Marine hears the sound of something. She says, Shinju's bust is getting bigger, and Shinju's beholders break. Later at home, they look at their pictures. Just then, Juju looks at one of the most beautiful pics of Marine and thinks, Gojo's outfits are not the only thing I fell in love with at first sight. Now she looks at Shinju's cosplay, who asks, "Was my cosplay too weird?" Juju says, "No, it's a cosplay that I'd never be able to pull off." Shinju screams out loudly. Juju asks what happened. She says, "But you look good in every cosplay." Juju says, "No, Soma's outfit needed someone with taller height, mine is short. I can't. I am jealous of you." Shinju says, "I'll also want to be a cosplayer," and Juju gets so happy. Now they start looking at the pictures again. She looks at Gojo and blushes. Afterwards, she shares the pic with him. As he is looking at the pics, he talks with Marine, who says, "Send me pics if Juju shared with you." As she's watching Blaze anime while talking to him, she asks, "It's very appreciating that you helped Shinju." Gojo says, "I felt she wanted to cosplay, so I helped." Marine asks Gojo-kun, "You also want to cosplay, right?" He responds, "What?" She says, "You should have told me if you wanted to." He clarifies, "No, I don't want to." Now, she watches a scene of Jewel Neon Wanatama wearing while converting to Black Lobia, and realizes she forgot to take the jewel to the studio. A few days later, Gojo is resting as summer has started. He looks at the new cosplay outfit he made. We see a flashback where Jailer opens the bar. We see a woman with white hair. He takes out the muzzle and she screams out loudly with sharp teeth. The character is Veronica. We get to know they are watching another anime. Marine says, "Her tan body, sharp teeth, and disgusted stare make me love her." Gojo says, "I can make her outfit pretty quickly for cosplay." Now, in the present, he thinks, "I really made it quicker than other outfits for cosplay." Just then, Marine calls out, "I am here," and he goes to open the door. He's totally shocked to see her tan body just like Veronica's. He asks, "How did you get a tan body?" She replies, "I did it for Veronica Taya." Gojo screams out, "You didn't have to." She then says, "Can I take a shower?" and tells him, "I applied foundation on my body. I didn't get burned under the sun." Gojo closes the bathroom door, and Marine takes her clothes off, saying, "Yikes, it's all sweaty." Gojo says, "I am keeping my clothes outside so you can wear them." After the shower, she drinks cola and says, "It feels so good." Gojo thinks she's wearing his clothes and feels uneasy. Marine asks, "Why are you blushing?" He tries to cover his face. She then shows him the tan foundation she bought for the Veronica cosplay makeup and the chains for cosplay. She even bought wallpaper to help recreate the scene. She says, "But I couldn't find teeth." Gojo says, "I bought these fake nails which can be used as teeth." Marine wears them instantly. She shows him, saying, "How do I look?" Gojo says, "Amazing." She then says, "Now I will get ready," and pulls up her t-shirt to apply foundation. Gojo turns red seeing her, and she asks, "You get heat stroke. You're red." He tries to get up to bring water for him, but, having chains, she falls, hitting her head on the wall. She's injured and can't wear her wig, so cosplay is postponed. Next, they go out and enter a men's apparel shop. She says, "Let's buy you some clothes." They walk in, and she asks him to try the shirt. She is waiting outside when he's changing. A helper looks at her and thinks she's hot. The guy inside must really be her boyfriend. But when Gojo comes out, the guy thinks, "Man, I wanna die just looking at him." He leaves, saying, "If you need any help, just tell me." Now, Gojo keeps trying on the new shirt, and Marine just stares at him. Looking at this one, she thinks, "What should I do? I totally love him in every single one." Just then, he says, "I don't wear these types of shirts." She then tells him to try a plain t-shirt. She then takes out one for herself, thinking, "I'll be able to match him." She comes out wearing it, but Gojo's froze. After trying a few things, she says, "I'm hungry." So they go to eat and enjoy a lot. After leaving there, Marine asks, "When are we going to do Veronica's cosplay?" Gojo replies, "I'll have to pass." She asks, "Why? Explain to me." He says, "Compared to other outfits, the amount of fabric on it is far less than before. I won't be able to look. Hearing this, Marine suddenly starts bonking him, saying, OMG, I got so serious thinking what serious reason it could be. She makes a face and says, I understand your concern. I will do it myself at home. Gojo awkwardly says, okay. Just then, Marine looks at him, pulls his hand, and says, want me to send a pic of me wearing it? Gojo freaks out, turning red. She says, I'm joking. Now that summer has arrived, Marine says, oh, it's too hot, as they stand on the side of the road. They then enter the manga cafe, deciding to spend some time there and drink cola. But Gojo is all red because they are sitting too close there. Marine says, man, these seats are so comfy, as she leans forward to check the menu. Gojo thinks, we are so close, and why is this room so small? But then he gets shocked to see that she's looking at the bonkers page. Afterwards, she shows him a popular manga, saying it's the best-selling one. She gives it to him and tells him the story. Protagonist Kanama stays up the whole night writing novels, and cute devil Liz Kyan tries to make him sleep. She says, I like Liz's pigtails, it's just like Juju's, which looks cute. She says, I want to cosplay as Liz Kyan. Gojo asks, then why don't you do it? She replies, I don't think I will look cute in pigtails. But Gojo says, I think they'd look really nice on you, and she blushes hearing this. Gojo says, I think you must do the cosplay. Marine wants to say something but she couldn't, but then says, maybe I'll do it. He then asks her about the details of the character. She tells him that Liz Kyan is kind of demon that makes men have pervy dreams and then kills them. Gojo asks, what is fun about that? It's quite disturbing. She says, it's super peaceful, read the manga, you'll get it. He starts reading it. Liz Kyan sings a lullaby to make Kanama sleep. She can't make him sleep. Instead, she falls asleep herself. The next day, he gives her chocolate, and she feels delighted. As Gojo reads the manga further, it gives him a very good feeling. After that, Marine leaves by saying, I will go grab some stuff. Meanwhile, Gojo looks at the character and thinks, the drawings are so simplified, so I have no idea how the outfit's supposed to look, unlike other costumes I have made. He thinks, I'll have to think of it myself. After spending some time in the cafe, Marine says, I had a lot of fun. Gojo asks, can we stop by the bookstore? I wanted to get manga. She says, okay, let's go. In the next scene, we see Gojo all sweaty because he's sitting at the Love Hotel at this moment. Then we see a flashback of the previous day. Gojo texts Marine, I have finished making the outfit. Marine says, let's go for a photo shoot at the studio. Now they are standing outside the studio. Marine walks in, saying, let's go. They check in, as it's a hotel room for a photo shoot. As they enter, Marine gets excited to see the room. Marine then looks at an electric massager and says, look, they have this thing also in the Love Hotel. Gojo is completely shocked and asks, did you say Love Hotel? She says, yes, and he starts panicking. Marine says, actually, I saw pics of this place on the internet and booked it. But when we reached outside of the place, I realized it's a Love Hotel. Gojo irritatingly says, you should have checked the details. He then looks around and thinks, everything in this room feels so mature, I'm getting dizzy. Marine then says, sometimes cosplayers have girls' nights at a Love Hotel, showing the pics. She says, look, they seem to be having fun. She then says, I'm hungry, I'll order something. But just then, Gojo stops her, saying, minors like us shouldn't be here. But she just says, I'll go change because it'll be a waste of money I spent here if we didn't do anything. Marine then enters the bathroom and says, the tub is bonkers, wanna come in with me? And Gojo is totally flushed out. Now back to the present as she wears her outfit. Gojo sits outside and is sweaty as he's alone with Marine in the Love Hotel. He opens the TV to feel better, but as adult stuff starts playing, he closes it. Suddenly, Marine appears, scaring him. She says, this outfit is so cute. The fact that buttons are pearls is super cute. And as she praises the outfit, Gojo says, I did some research on the character's outfit. As in the manga, things are not clear, so I researched Demon Girl's outfits and then made the outfit. Marine says, that's why it's super good. She then sits closer to him and says, not only this costume, but all costumes you make are the best. And Gojo replies, thank you so much. Now he starts doing her makeup. After doing so, she's finally ready. She says, do I look good in pigtails? He replies, it looks like Liz Kyan hopped out of the manga. She says, I'm super embarrassed right now. He says, wow, so beautiful, and she thinks he's saying to her. But in real he's praising the wig and she makes sad face. She then says, I like these wings so much. Gojo says, I want to recreate some scenes, so I bought some props. Marine takes one saying, you are feeling sleepy. Gojo says, I wish I took pictures of that. He has now started shooting. She then says, I like these wings so much. Now he shoot her in different poses, recreating some scenes from the manga. In the chocolate shot, she looks so cute while eating. He takes as many pictures as he can. She then drinks cola and says, I feel so good. Gojo tells her to now recreate the scene where she's singing a lullaby. She posed that way, but the picture he took doesn't seem good. Something is lacking, direct eye contact. He gets the idea, so he tells her to get on top. She says okay and gets on top of him. She says, I'm sitting on you. Are you ready? Gojo says okay and takes her picture. She looks at it and says, OMG, it's so perfect. Marine says, I am having so much fun. Gojo says, I am having a lot of fun too. But just then did he realize what position they were in. And it's a love hotel. He looks at Marine and feels uneasy. He says, I need you to get out of me right now, and accidentally hold her. And she's about to scream, but stops. Her phone falls on the switchboard, and the light turns off. It's dark, and they both look at each other completely flushed. They're about to kiss when the phone rings. Hotel management says it's time to check out. Marine says, I'll go get changed. Inside the bathroom, she thinks we were way too close. As they are leaving, an adult couple passes by. A woman looks at them and thinks they look cute together. At home, Gojo can't let Marine out of his head. Now we see Gojo drawing the Hina doll's face when he saw fireworks from his window. Just then, he received a message from Marine saying, help me. Gojo visits her and learns that she just needs help making ribbon flowers for her new cosplay. She then tells him that she talked with her dad about taking her to the festival, but he refused because she hadn't finished her homework. Gojo asks why, and she says it's because she booked a bunch of jobs and forgot to do her homework. He asks what job she does, and she shows him a magazine. Gojo is amazed to see her in it. She says, the editor of that magazine was at the salon I usually go to and asked me if I was interested, so I gave it a shot. Gojo says, wow, you look so good. She says she is doing more shoots lately because she wants a DSLR camera. Gojo's amazed she's really planning to buy expensive camera. Afterwards, she tells Gojo, let's watch a movie. She says it's a horror movie but not scary at all. However, she is the one who gets scared most while watching the movie, while Gojo is not scared at all. As the movie ends, he says he wants to watch a scene once more. Marine, scared, asks why, and he says he might learn something from their costume and makeup, and Marine turns away to not get more scared. After she does her English homework and feels happy she completed it, she remembers she forgot her math homework at school. So, they go to the school to get it. After taking it, they leave the class. As they walk down the stairs, she looks out and spots the school pool. She takes Gojo with her there. She says, I'm just going to dip my foot, but ends up falling inside. Gojo is totally scared when she doesn't come out and jumps in to save her. As he brings her out, she says, I seriously thought I was a goner just now. She gets up and says, I don't know how to swim, but I like water so much that I went to the beach with my friends. I like watching the ocean, sitting and listening to the waves. So, I like to go even if I can't swim. Gojo says he feels the same, even though he can't paint the dolls' faces yet, but he loves them. She then says, let's go to the festival together. Gojo asks about her homework. She says, I will complete it super fast. Later that day, when Gojo was painting a doll's face, he got a message from Marine saying she's doing her homework. In the evening, as Gojo is leaving for the festival since she completed her homework, his grandpa says to take care, and he says goodbye. Now he takes the train to reach the festival, and when he gets there, he's amazed to see so many people. He looks at the messages from Marine and waits for her. Just then, she appears, saying, sorry for keeping you waiting. He can't take his eyes off her. She asks him how she looks in a yukata, but he just stares at her. She asks, what's up? Let me guess, you're one of those guys who gets excited from seeing the nape of a girl's neck, and he just blushes and is unable to say anything. Her heart starts racing with the thought, I am glad I wore a yukata, and tries to show her nape more. Afterwards, she tells him to look at the shop that has candied apples. After buying one, she says, I'm gonna dig right in. She then goes to another shop, but Gojo sees that she's already moved to another one. Now she takes him to so many shops that he feels annoyed. She then says, now let's go to the plaza and eat, this will be enough for us. Now as they walk and talk with each other, just then, fireworks start. They both are amazed to see it. It looks so amazing. Gojo thinks seeing them so up close, the sound resonates through whole body. He recalls that when he was alone with no friends, seeing fireworks from his window felt like a loud echoing noise he'd hear off in the distance. But this year, it feels so amazing to watch them from so close. It's all because of Marine. He looks at her and stares. She looks back at him and suddenly sticks out her tongue. He freaks out, your tongue color has changed. After the festival, her feet are totally hurt by her footwear. He says, I will buy you a bandage, but she says, just take me with you. He is all red as she is now on his back. As he walks away carrying her, she says, I am sorry you have to carry me. I'll be more careful for next year's festival. Gojo is happy with the thought of another year with her. They talk a lot after that. At night, when Gojo is about to sleep, Marine calls him. She's totally scared as she told him she watched another horror movie alone this time. And then when she went to take a bath, she felt like someone was there. She says, now I'm scared to death at the slightest sounds. I'm losing my mind now. So Gojo decides to stay on the call with her until they both fall asleep. They get to their beds and talk about how much fun they had this year. But Gojo feels sleepy. As she feels he's passed out, she says, Gojo-kun, I love you, and says goodnight to him. With this, the story ends with Gojo being unaware that Marine is already in love with him. Let's aim for 1 million likes. We will make more beautiful video like this. And what is your favorite thing about this story? I always read each and every one of your comments. So comment right now and don't forget, you guys are the best.